Okay, guys, welcome back to Raising Hell to Heaven. Today we have Cameron still figuring out his last name. Cameron
Delano.
Delano in Italian, or Delano if you're living in the South.
That's right.
Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So Kate is on child duty today, which is why she's not with us. She's doing mom things. But we have some good questions, so let's get into it. First of all, let's give you a little introduction. Okay, tell us about yourself. So, okay, I'll introduce you first because this is the pod. I saw this video where you were doing another podcast and you were talking about how difficult it is to date these days and
Yeah,
how it's like hard to know like if you can even trust anyone anymore. And I
correct.
will argue that that's actually not true. That it's a
Okay.
user error.
Okay. We're gonna have a
Okay.
little argument battle. Got you.
But I will say I was intrigued by that, and I see a lot of people, obviously every single day. I'm a dating coach, experiencing that same sort of thing. I went through the same sort of thing where I was like, it's just a loss for us all. We may as well give up. But so I would love to hear your thoughts, and also just tell us a little bit about your story. This is a very dating podcast, but also a Christian podcast. So feel free to share about your faith and your story and your background and whatever you feel like sharing with the world.
Okay.
Go.
I'm supposed to. I could. Okay. I thought you was just preparing me for the next segment. Okay. So that was part of the. Okay. All
Just give
right.
us a little background about yourself. Who is
Take two.
Cameron?
Cut.
Take two.
Okay.
Who is Cameron outside of just what Instagram sees and the fighter and the blah, blah, blah? Who is Cameron?
Okay. So, hey everyone, my name is Cameron Dellano or Dellano. It depends whether you're from the north or from the south. I'm 28 years old. I am a professional bull rider and bare-knuckle boxer. Now, growing up, I came from a very like southern type Baptist lifestyle growing up, and religion was a big part of my family. And when I got in probably high school, I would say my parents got divorced, and so the faith aspect of a whole family kind of got disorganized. Like, living on one side, living with my mom, living with my dad. That whole aspect of things kind of changed over the years. And I was following at the time my first love, which was football. I played from 4 years old all the way up until later on in my 20s, actually. But I was a D1 scholar athlete. I was a running back. I was 22nd in the nation. I was a running back my senior year. And I used to be super cocky, super big headed. Thought I was on top of the world, thought I could not be defeated on anything. And what I learned over the years is, when you get too ahead of yourself, God will humble you in a number of different ways. And my whole life, I dreamed of playing NFL football. And I was really good. I got in front of the right people, the right crowds, and I was on a very good path. Had a UGA scholarship, the whole 9 yards. My senior year in high school, I got hit from three different angles. It was paralyzed for about 5 minutes. Shifted some disc in my back, had some pinched nerves, tore my labrum, my rotator cuff, and all from one hit, from getting hit from three different angles. It went to three different orthopedics, didn't want to give it up. I went to one in Charlotte, one in Atlanta, Georgia, and one in Greenville, South Carolina. And they all told me to quit playing football because I have played for so long. And because the last 3 years I played year round, my body has taken a lot of damage. And naturally, your neck is supposed to be slightly, with the spine slightly bent back, and mine was actually starting to go forward. And it was just from years of repetitiveness of getting my neck jammed from running the
Yeah.
football as a running back. And they told me to quit playing football. I'm at risk of being paralyzed, and that was hard news for me to take as a 18-year-old because I had a UGA scholarship. I had my whole life ahead of me, and I didn't listen. I told my grandma, and that's who I'm closest to is my grandma. And I told her, I was like, I'm not ready to give it up yet. I don't believe it. I'm not a quitter. And so I went and tried anyway, committed, tried my freshman year, got hurt, and came back home. I just couldn't. My body couldn't deal with it no more. My arm would drop to my side and I couldn't move it for a couple minutes. It was like just nerves in my body wouldn't allow me to. And so I was very depressed after that. I came home trying to find my career path after that. Now, obviously, I had bull riding, but that's because I was raised into it. I was riding bulls when I wasn't really supposed to because of my
Yeah, that
mom didn't
sounds
really want
like
me.
The worst, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go from one sport that's bad for my body to one that's way worse for my body.
Well,
Like,
it's the way you got to look at it. And this is the way I looked at it. So I don't know if it's the way you got to look at it, but the way I looked at it was when you play football, it's 2 hours, right? You got about 2 hours of nonstop, and it's going the whole time. When you ride bull, it's like, okay, you might get hurt, but it's over in 10 seconds. So then you're just done, right? You're okay, you got hurt, you suck it up, you deal with it, you get better. But in football, I would get hurt, 10, 15 times a game
yeah,
that last year because my arm would just drop.
yeah.
My coach would try, my dad would tell the coach not to let me back in, and I'd be on the sideline and be like, Coach, let me back in, let me back in. And then he'd let me back in, then I'd get hurt again. So it was one of them things like I was looking at the longevity, like, can I still do something I love, but not have to, deal with the pain as much. And so
Yeah.
started my own business for a while, did the whole construction business, did all that. And then I started coaching high school football and went back to my roots because I still loved it. And then I got one of the coaches on the team played semi-pro, played overseas. And it's like, hey, man, you should come out. Like, you're still pretty quick and you haven't really done anything in years. And so I went out and then led the whole conference and rushing yards. So did great. My first year, won MVP over in Costa Rica. Went out there and we beat Costa Rica. I played for the USA international football team. Did that. Then I played overseas in the European League a little bit. And so I did the whole semi-pro football. But then I was like, you know what? That injury came back. I got hit again one time. And when my arm fell again, I said, okay, like, I guess what it was is years. I did about 5 years of no contact.
Yeah.
And then my body was okay for like the first 2 years. And then
Yeah.
after that, my body started taking that beating again.
Yeah.
And at my age at the time, I was like 24.
Yeah.
And so at the time, it's like my body just started catching back up. And when I realized, even now, they're in my inbox right now trying to get me to come out and play for a team where they're facing Mexico, Costa Rica, and some other team. I think it might be a team over near Greece. Yeah, they're trying to get me to come out and play, and I love it. I love football. I breathed it growing up, and I lived it. And so it's one of them things that's hard for me to juggle because I love to do it, but I know my body can't do it no more. So I had to step away from it. But same thing with bull riding. So when I got into bull riding, I went to the PBR tour. I've been on PBR tour for about 5 years now. This will be my 5th year. And I think I'm about ready to hang that up as well as we got the cowboy hat that I was told I had to take off. So I love doing bull riding. It's definitely an adrenaline rush. I chase kind of, adrenaline, danger wherever I go. I love the thrill. I love a challenge. If you've never been on a bull before, there's really no greater challenge than getting on a 2,000-pound beast that is definitely stronger, definitely faster, all odds against you. And so it's one of the hardest things to do, I truly believe. And as far as grit, because when you get hit, I mean, you're going to get hit, you're going to get stepped on, you're going to get gored, like all that stuff happens. I mean, I got some scars on my ear where I've had my ear split open, a horn go in my head, I've had my head split open. I got a skin graft on my left thigh from where a bull pretty much took a chunk out of my leg. Yeah, I've had some injuries, fractured jaws. But at the end of it, it's the thrill and the love of it is why I kept going back and kept doing it. But I'm 28 now, so I'm getting to that age where I can't ride every weekend. I can't travel a lot. My little girl is in kindergarten now. And so with me having to be a dad, I'm having to step away from something that I do dearly love. But it's for the best, and as each thing leaves, I've realized a new thing has came in the picture. So as football left, bull riding came in the picture. As bull riding's leaving, now I got the bare knuckle boxing. And the reason I go to that is because I love to fight, right? But it's more of if you watch my last fight, there was good sportsmanship the whole time. Like I love the thrill of it, that adrenaline. Once again, I chase it. And it's a little bit different. So if I fight 2 times a year, if I go out there and fight and get hurt, I got, 6 months to heal up and prepare for, my next fight.
Your logic is wild.
It is.
You just go from one thing that's terrible for your body to another, but you're like, but I wonder if, I know I'm going to totally pivot right here, but I just wonder if that mentality leaked into your relationships and that's why you keep going through the same shit.
What do you mean by that?
So, share with us a little bit about the thrill, the challenge. Okay. I don't think that, There are certain people who just are, I think it's a personality thing too.
Yeah.
But a lot of my clients that I see come and with what I've experienced and with what Kate has experienced, right, is we are like the thrill seeking type. And so we
Yeah.
seek that same sort of thrill in our relationships. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, it's our comfortable chaos. We always go back to this comfortable chaos rather than the uncomfortable calm. And I would go so far as to say that all of this goes back to your parents' divorce.
So my grandma always says that. And you know, they always say grandmas know everything, but
They do.
at the end of the day, it's weird because I didn't give a crap about my parents' divorce. Like it didn't affect me emotionally or physically in any way. It was weird. Like I didn't really care about it. But I've also, and this goes back to a lot of different things that I do. I operate really good in chaos, under bright lights, under high stress conditions. I'm really good at that. And I think that's also what's made me thrive and be successful in different careers is because, you know, the bright lights don't scare me. You know, the whole stress factor of this and this could happen, I just kind of block it out, you know, and you could be right. It could resort back to some of the relationship issues because it's like a challenge. You know, I love a challenge. But at the end of the day, at 28 years old with two kids, I don't like that no more. I don't want that in a relationship because I just want something peaceful. I want to be able to come home. I want to be able to smile. I want to be able to laugh. And I don't
Yeah.
like having to play a guessing game where I stand in your life. And that's where I'm at in life. Like I don't like going to this, well, is she lying to me? Is this honest? Is this really what she wants? Like I hate
Yeah.
playing that whole guessing game and mixed emotions and signals. I'm just going to stay single if that's the way it's going to be, because at least when I'm single, I can control everything. But when you're in a
And there's
relationship, you can't.
there's some control
It's the
issues in there
control.
too.
But
All
see,
that.
it's different though. When I'm single, I can control if I can get attached to you or not, right? But when I'm in
Yeah.
a relationship with you and I love you, it's hard for me to step away. And it's like
Ever for
if you
everyone. For
screw me
everyone.
over, it's
Yeah.
even harder for me to step away because now
Yeah.
I don't understand like how can I be so good to someone and you just do
Yeah.
that to me,
Yeah.
And that's part of that factor. It's like you can't just walk away, which you can. You can. I've learned that you can't just walk away. But
It's harder than
that,
people think though. When people are
yes, that
like,
early mindset, especially
yeah.
when you have kids involved, that makes it 100.
Yes. Yes. I cannot even imagine. Like I had a hard enough time walking away and I didn't have kids involved. If I did,
Yeah.
I don't know, I like to think I would have the strength, but I can't imagine. And that's the thing though, is like being securely attached and not wanting that comfortable chaos makes it a lot easier to walk away from anything that is hurting us or not serving us.
Correct.
But when we're unsecurely attached because maybe something happened in childhood and we didn't deal with it, we just manned it out, which especially a man from the South, like California is a lot more like it's okay to feel. I would say so much so, kind of it's gone the other direction. And I've discussed this with my dad,
Yeah.
where we're being too soft on the men. And now we're not giving them any
Absolutely.
room to be strong. And then we're wondering why they're not strong. And it's like, well, you told him to be soft and not be strong and not be, not walk in and control a room, like calm down and don't be so much. You're being too much, blah, blah, blah. So there's a beautiful balance and a biblical balance too, right? But yeah, I definitely think I see a lot of that where it's like you may have felt like you didn't feel anything when that was happening with your parents. But what was happening probably, and I'm not a licensed therapist, I just deal with a lot of this and see a lot of it and deal with a lot of it with myself and have read a lot and studied a lot. What's happening is your body or your mind, it's a protection mechanism. So that's why you're excellent at that. And what's cool in some ways is like you were able to make a career out of that. Like you
Yeah.
think anyone who gets up there, have you ever watched Broadway? I remember the first time I went and watched Broadway and I was like, oh my gosh, just like the lack of stage fright is bonkers to me. Like, and I'm a theater kid through and through. And there are moments when I'm out on that stage when the same thing. It's like I black out and I'm just chilling now. All of a sudden, just go. You just go into kind of survival mode. Because at some point when you were a child, you learned to do that to survive or die. Because the thing is, as a kid, like when a parent abandons you, and when a parent or when parents get divorced, a kid will feel like it's abandonment might not be conscious, but in a way it feels like, well, they're leaving. So as a child, if I don't learn how to just cope with this, I'm going to die
Yeah.
because we can't survive without parents. So it's all very interesting.
And I
It
will tell
is,
you one thing too, when it comes to men, and I'm gonna speak for probably 90% of men here. Men know at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you got going on. It doesn't matter what somebody thinks or who cares. If you have a family, you still have to go. And that's one of the things in America which I hate is, a man is one of the most underappreciated things in some degree because what we deal with and then go through and still get up every single day and
yeah,
have to push through. A lot of people don't give us credit for that. And so men, to a degree, block out their emotions on a lot of different things because we know at the end of the day, we still have to get up and get out
yeah,
there and figure it out. We still got a
yeah,
family to take care of, especially somebody that is very big, family oriented, that knows they have to lead a good family, lead a good home, and
yeah,
so it's like we have to put our wants and our needs and our emotions to the side
yeah,
and satisfy the kids, satisfy mom, satisfy the family. We got a
yeah,
hundred different things we're worried about. And I feel like a lot of men at the end of the day, they just want love. They just want to be able to come home, hear their kids happy, have a woman that tells them they love them, they got nothing to worry about.
yeah,
When you have a career like my career is a very demanding mental state. Like as a professional fighter, I have to be there mentally. If I let something from the outside affect me when I go into one of these fights, it could really get me hurt because
yeah,
I'm thinking about something else instead of my game plan, instead of my
yeah,
execution. And in the fighting business, a supportive woman is probably one of the most best things you can have in your corner because
yeah,
you don't have that outside stress, the outside of worry about this, let me worry about that. Like the
yeah.
mental game is huge in the fighting industry.
No, I believe that
And
100%.
so it's one of them things like if I can't have a woman that's going to love me properly where I'm at right now in life, then I'm going to be single because then I know I have nothing to worry about other than being a dad, right? And at the end of the day, I can be a great dad without having to worry about, does this woman want to be with me? Is she lying to me? Is she cheating on me? And I've realized that's usually when I'm a better dad. When I had my issues in my last relationship, it doesn't just affect you in the relationship. Like it affects you as a dad, it affects you in your career. Like I would go train and my coach would literally look at me and I wouldn't tell him nothing. And he'd be like, what's going on with you? I can tell what's going on with you. And it's just the way you carry yourself. It's the way you push through different obstacles in life altogether. And then same thing with my little girl. I'd be less patient, more snappy. And it was like I hated who I was becoming. And
Yeah.
once I stepped away, it was like a peace of mind. Like, did it hurt? Absolutely. Like, it hurt me a lot to step away from that. But I do realize that once I stepped away, the happiness came back on my face. My light came back. Me and my
Yeah.
little girl's bond got even better than what it was. And I was able to actually lock in fight camp, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's one of them tough things to say. Like I said, if you don't have a supportive woman, it's hard to find in today's world too, because of the way the generations have changed. Like
Hmm.
I'm a new school body looking for old school love, and that's really what it comes down to. Like I want the love my grandparents had, but
And you see
also,
that, right? All over Instagram.
yeah,
Everyone, like, it's
absolutely,
trending, it's out there. Everyone is
yep,
wanting that. But I feel like what's happening is a lot of people aren't aware of how to show up that way for another person. And then they're
hmm
expecting to get that without being aware and capable of giving that. And then the other thing is not being able to identify what that actually looks like early on. So
correct.
you can say, like, I want this old school love, but then you just keep dating, like, I should not be using this example, but reality stars or like,
Yeah, I mean,
you
no,
know?
you're right. You're right. People that have to, at the end of the day, it's the tough conversations. It's the little things that people
Yes.
don't
Early on,
don't.
having those
Yes,
conversations early
you
is
got to have it
key.
right when you meet them, and
Yeah.
that was kind of my situation with my one of my exes was, I told her what I needed, I told her what I wanted to have, and I told her from day one that we met, I was like, if we become anything after this is what I have to be happy in a relationship. And she told me that's what she wanted to because she never had that type of relationship. And when we got into it, I saw within 3 weeks of dating that wasn't really the same mindset. Like she told me one thing, but that wasn't really what she wanted. She loved the idea of that. She loved the idea of a family. She loved the idea of having that whole fairy tale love, right? But when it came down to it, she wasn't ready to have the tough conversations, to do the little things that you have to have in a relationship to have that type of love. I realized that early on, and I should have got out then, and I didn't because in my book, I was like, I already got two kids. I felt like I was strapped on time. But that's one thing I've realized is, you're going to waste 2 or 3 years in that relationship, and now
Yeah.
you strapped on more time, and
Yeah.
you can't have that mentality. Once you see them red flags, I truly think you need to have a really stern conversation. If they can't get past it, then the longer you stay, the harder it's going to be to get out.
Yeah, I think that's huge. That's the hardest part, right? Because usually it is like 3 to 6 months in that you see red flags. Sometimes they can be right away though. And if you're like me, I'll go in way fast and I'm already like, oh my gosh, we're practically married. And then I
Yeah,
start
me too.
realizing, and I start realizing there's red flags and I'm like, but we're practically married now. Now what do I do? Like I'm already
No,
so neck deep in this and it's
vested.
so much harder. So that's why it's so important to go slow. And like it's such a difficult thing to do. And I think that that's really important, honestly, like especially in today's society and generation, like it's so hard not to rush intimacy, but that's one of the biggest things where it's like all of a sudden once you're intimate, then there's expectations of loyalty, as I think there should be, but there actually shouldn't be expectations of loyalty so early on before you realize if there's red flags or not. And the other
Correct.
beautiful thing about red flags is like they're signals and they're opportunities to have conversations. So if I see, for example, for me, like one thing that's a really big like sign for me that can be very scary because of the relationships I've been through, if I see controlling tendencies, that can get me like real scared of where this is going real fast because I don't
Okay,
have
but
trust issues. What? Go ahead.
now that we're on that conversation,
Yeah.
let's talk about what controlling tendencies really are, because there's a
Yeah.
misconception in that in today's world of what
Yeah.
control and narcissism and all that really is. And
Yes.
I feel like people are so quick to use the term narcissism because a guy has boundaries.
Yes.
I truly believe control to a degree, and this is my output, and then you can give me yours. My biggest thing is if you tell them one thing, then you get into the relationship, and then now it's something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like if you come to someone up front and say, hey, look, this is what I need to be happy, this is what I have to have in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and they say, okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. Then you get in a
Yeah.
relationship and you decide you're not okay with that. Don't tell that person that they're controlling, because you had that conversation before y'all started dating, and you said that's what you wanted too. So to a degree, like this whole new generation of that, I have guy friends that I can go get coffee with, or I have girlfriends that are just people that I go eat lunch with every day at work. Like there's certain boundaries to in my outlook to this situation, right? If you work with
Yeah.
someone, I get it. If it's a group setting, I get it, right? I get
Mm-hmm.
you have work dinners, I get you have those type of things, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's different if they're texting you about anything other than it's different if now the conversations have took them little jabs, and this guy's intentions, and you're still playing into it because you don't want it to be awkward at work. There's boundaries there, especially in a relationship. You got to respect your man. You got to respect those
Yeah.
boundaries, because the moment you don't, now it creates this conflict between you and your person that you see every day compared to the person that you just work with. This is the
Yeah.
person that's loving you, providing for you, that is there spending time with you, trying to, grow old with you. So you got to put priorities in perspective of, well, I make it uncomfortable because this man's hitting on me. And as men, I know the way men are. If a single man is at work, even married men in today's world, if they're at work and they see a beautiful girl, they're going to shoot their shot. They don't care about how awkward it might be at work. They don't care about any of that. In a woman's mind, this is what I've experienced, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is they're thinking about, well, I don't want to make it awkward and I don't want to make anybody unhappy, right? They want to be a people pleaser at the end of the day. So it's like, that is my
An
outlook on control
unhealed,
to a degree.
unhealed,
Yeah.
ungrounded woman in
Yeah.
her unhealthy attachment style would operate that way. But any woman that is healed and in her and has done the work, because like for me, I literally just finished up, I'm doing a new course and I just finished a whole section on this yesterday because I went through training myself how to do this, how to have those boundaries. Something happens in the mind of especially a woman who, like you said, we're getting approached all the time. That is our reality.
It's
right?
going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. But something happens in the mind of, especially of a people pleaser, once they realize actually men will and people will and everybody will like me more and respect me more if I know how to put down solid boundaries. I learned that working in a restaurant, and I was in a relationship, and it was an unfortunate situation because at the time it was like I either learn how to do this or I'm gonna get my ass beat at home. Like not literally, but like I mean he did hit me, so it could. I didn't know where it could go, but that's where my mind was, right? So I was like, I need to figure this out, and I need to figure it out now. I can't be that girl that is just too nice because I don't want to be, don't want to stir the pot. So I went into
It's
the
the
restaurant.
respect thing.
Yeah. So I learned real quick how to, and I remember this one specific busser, I went up to him and I was like, that needs to never happen again. And that wasn't my demeanor. That's not what I was brought up in, the church and the soft little, Christian girl, be nice to everyone. Like I wasn't taught how to stand up to big tattooed men and tell them, don't you ever fucking talk to me like that again.
Yeah.
That's not that I wasn't taught how to operate that way. But in that moment, I remember I was shaking, stood up to him, and I was like, do not ever speak about me that way again, because I heard something that he had said behind, like with someone when I was not around. And that man respected me, and my tables were always bussed. He would never even think about crossing a boundary with me ever again. And that
Because
little
now
moment,
it's established. Now they know where they stand.
yes. Yeah. And so once you have multiple moments like that as a woman, you realize that you're also actually going to make things worse by not establishing those boundaries. That those boundaries start to get, they're fun, they're exciting. It's like, yes, now people respect me. I'd much rather be respected than someone that people just want to sleep with. So if you're, someone that's doing that work, those things are going to come. The issues are happening when you're with someone who just hasn't done that work at all and doesn't know how to establish their boundaries.
Exactly. And that's also where I feel like a lot of narcissism, whether it's in men or women, they like to chase. They like to, and I'm all about a challenge, but I'm not a challenge like that. Like when I'm in a relationship, I want something that's locked in. I don't want
Yeah.
to have to worry about chasing someone or the thrill of doing all that. I'm 28 years old. I got two babies, and I feel like where I really grew up at is after I had my little girl, and then you go through all the legal issues with court battles and all that. Like at the end of the day, you just want someone to come home to. You just want to be happy.
Yeah.
And I experienced, like I said, in my last relationship, it was nonstop conversations about the same thing. Like why are you having these type of conversations with your boss? Like y'all work hand in hand every single day together. So it's like, and then you're having certain conversations, sending certain memes that are sexual memes, and it's like come on, like why are you having those conversations? Well, that's my boss, and I don't want it to be weird for me at work. But now you're making it a problem at home.
But now you're also making it weird at work. And that's
Yeah,
the thing.
because
If she
now
had
he
already
doesn't
done
know
the
where he
work,
stands.
yes, exactly. If she wanted it to not be weird at work, she would establish that boundary so that he would respect her more, so she could go further in the company. So it's actually better, more comfortable for her at work to
Yeah,
establish
but in
that
her
boundary.
mind, it's all about, well, I want to be accepted. I want to,
It's a
you know,
people pleasing. It's an
it
unhealed
is.
wound. It's people
And
pleasing
I feel
attachment
like
style. Yeah.
and I'm going to say this because this is, I don't want to dig too much into personal things, but she also didn't have a dad figure growing up. And I feel like that's a big issue in today's world because a woman this is one of the topics we talked about.
Yeah.
One of, I truly believe that women that grow up in a home that doesn't have a proper dad figure or a dad at all, it's hard
Yeah.
for them to accept what a good man is because they don't know
Yeah.
how to. They're so used to seeing mom be the hero every day, all day
Yeah.
growing up that they think they got to be strong headed. They think, which is good to a degree, but they think they have to. They don't know how to appreciate the small things.
Well, I think it's hard to, from a softer point of view, I think it's hard for them to believe that that can even exist. How are you
Correct.
supposed to believe that exists when you never saw that? Maybe a lot of them wants to believe that exists. For me, it's the opposite where it's like, I can't, I can't convince myself that it doesn't exist because I know it does. So if you're not treating me well, I know it better exists because my dad treats me better. So why would I stick around for this shit?
Correct.
Right? So, but okay, let's go back to the control thing because I think this is really important for men and for women because there's a line, right? And like you said, when things are pre established, and this is why it needs to be a conversation, an early conversation.
Before anything even happens,
Yes.
before you even jump into, do we
Yes.
plan on dating? Like, you got
Yes.
to have this prior to, are we in
Yes.
a relationship?
And it's all about values. And so, one of the values that you go over, not all of your values need to match, but most of them should align. And if you're not aligned, it doesn't make sense to go forward in a relationship. And one of those is loyalty. And one of those is getting really, really honest with what does loyalty look like to you? Because people will all day until they're blue in the face say like, yeah, I'm a very loyal person. And it's like, okay,
Right.
but like, how does that
What
actually
is
show
loyal?
up? Right? And then for me, on the other side, well, so okay, rewind. That looks like having those conversations because some couples are totally fine with
I
going to
really want
lunch
to
and
talk about
dinner.
this. I really want to talk about the what is loyalty.
Yes, yeah. So that's what I'm going into, right? So like, because some people are fine, some couples together decide together, we're fine with you going out with opposite sex. Like, if you want to have lunch or dinner, that's fine. I'm not about that life. I'm the
No,
type where I'm like,
absolutely not.
if I'm gonna go with my friend who I've known from high school, who I know is not a threat, you're coming with me. I mean, at least inviting you. If you say no, I don't want to, but go ahead, then I guess I'll go because that means you trust me. So that's the other thing. In my most recent relationship, there was so much trust that we just didn't have issues in this area, like at all, which is very different. And the reason is because first of all, he knew me like since high school, and he was just like, you can't lie for shit. So if you ever do anything, I know you'll just tell me. But what happened was this like overly communicating, open phone policy all the time. Like he knew he could always have my like see my phone, blah blah blah. But also to an extent, like I think that the issue is when you have one person that is overly trusting and overly people pleasing and feels the need to like prove their worth constantly, and one person that has super bad trust issues, and anytime they see anything that could kind of maybe look like something, that's where the unhealthy controlling comes in, right? Like I think that in when you're securely attached, it's innocent until proven guilty. If you
Correct.
have a person that's a people pleaser with someone who's constantly like, well, what was that? Well, where are you doing there? Well, blah, blah, blah. Like even before you're in a relationship, they're already making assumptions, insinuations about you. That would send someone, and has sent someone like me, in a downward spiral where I'm trying to prove myself because I know that I'm loyal. So like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? But the reality is you can never make a person that doesn't know how to trust you. You can't do it.
Correct.
They have to learn to trust people first. And
I,
if they don't trust
I
themselves and people, it won't happen ever.
I think one of the biggest things that people see is, they're like, man, that person's so close to everything I want. But we have to remember we can't change people. They are who they are
Yeah.
when we meet them. They're not really who they are when we meet them is probably the most honest version of themselves.
Yes.
People will change in a relationship to a degree to try to please you, but that's not who
Yeah.
they are. And that's why it always resorts back to more issues later on. So I
Yeah.
feel like first thing is we have to realize is if your morals don't align, don't try to force it because what you're going to do is really cause more issues down the road at the end of the day.
Yes.
I think the other thing is loyalty, like we talked about. What is loyalty? My ex used to tell me all the time, I'm a very loyal person. I'm blah, 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 blah. But are you, though? Just because you didn't go screw Tom and Jack doesn't mean you're loyal. Let's talk about what loyalty is. Deleting messages, having conversations you weren't supposed to be having, going behind my back and seeing people you weren't supposed to be seeing, going places and lying to me about it. Like communication, I feel like in a relationship, like you said, is the biggest form of trust. Once you start deleting messages, once you start lying about where you're going, once you start about lying who's there, it becomes into more of a, it's not even a loyal issue. It's a self-moral issue.
Integrity.
Just be
It's
honest.
integrity.
Be open.
Yeah.
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 And so at the end of the day, it's like if you want to call yourself loyal, loyalty is more than just you going and having sex with the opposite sex. It literally is. It starts with how you present yourself in the relationship. Like if you know you're not supposed to be having that conversation, don't have it. If you know you're not supposed to be deleting messages, don't delete it. And the whole open phone policy, Like with her, it was only an open phone as long as she could look over my shoulder because she knows I'm not going to go through it. When you're looking over my shoulder, I'm not going to go through it. But the moment when I got into the relationship, like you said, where you're questioning every little move now because of the little things that you have caught in white lies that have now a bunch of white lies have led to a big one,
Yeah.
is I'm gonna go through that phone because I know a change of energy. And once I went through the phone, I realized that everything I was worried about, I was right about. I was correct.
Yeah.
I saw the conversations. I saw the stuff you deleted and delete out your delete folder. I saw the people that you were hanging out with and you lied to me and told me it was just your friend. Like there was several different conversations
Yeah.
that I saw, and it was like, don't call yourself loyal. And in her mind, oh, it was loyal because I was able to do that in my last relationship. But I was upfront with you when we got together, like, I don't do those things. And then you go and lie to me about it. So we just weren't compatible for each other, right? And there's a guy out there that will probably give her what she wants. And, I'm not going to speak too much because it is what it is. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you fucking cheat, you fuck other people, it's probably not going to work out. But unless you want to be in an open relationship, then that's all for you. To each their own. But loyalty is more than just not cheating with the opposite sex. Like it becomes so much more communication. If you know your partner wouldn't want you doing it or it'd be an argument, don't do it. It's that simple. It is very, very simple. And that's the problem. And both men and women, that women, like you said, are natural people pleasers. They want to be accepted. They want to do that. And I feel like the men that do it are just men that don't really know what they want. They just want to chase. They want something that's a
Yeah.
thrill, and that's when it becomes more of a narcissistic man because they want you, but they don't want nobody else to have you. But they're gonna turn around and still go chase. And I have a couple people I know that are like that. So I know
Yeah.
there's men out there that are like that. But you got people like me that I just want to be loved. I just want to be happy. And it's like, don't come into my life, tell me you can give me something and you can't, because then I take that very, very deep to heart. Like your word means a lot to me. And I
Yeah.
think that could resort back to childhood as well, because I was lied to a lot growing up, And so
Yeah.
honesty, and my dad did cheat on my mom growing up. And so loyalty is a big thing for me. And I saw what it can do to a family. I saw what issues it can create. So loyalty
Yeah.
and honesty is my two things I live by.
Yeah. Well, I think that too. There's parts to it. It's because it's not so black and white as much as I would love for it to be. I'll throw myself under the bus and say, like, the thing I struggle with is male attention. I am like a man's worst fear, right? So,
Yeah, I see the videos.
right. And I have come to realize, like, okay, this is why. This is my attachment style and working towards this healed attachment style. But again, looking back on my last relationship, I know that I can do very, very well and be in a healthy relationship with the right person who holds a safe container for me to also admit when I mess up. Because people like me, it's like telling, this is like, I mean, I don't know, it's like an
But it's
addict,
having a
right?
woman that will understand when you come to her to tell her that. If a woman is closed minded and doesn't want to, is stuck in her ways and is like, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, and she doesn't want
Right.
to
Well,
listen, then,
communication.
then it's a
Yeah.
lost conversation.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to have both people willing to communicate and listen. And so, like with my ex, I had times when I slipped up and I was terrified, but I would go and I would tell him I did this. I don't feel good about it, but this is a step, like you said, like a little thing that leads to a cheating thing, right? And so I'm gonna just tell
Correct.
you right now before
It's
it gets any
emotional.
worse. Yeah, and instead of him hitting me or yelling at me or being controlling like previous boyfriends had done, he was like, what are you lacking here that made you feel like you needed to do that? And I will tell you right now, having someone hold space for me like that, having someone just be that honest and that safe environment for me, what did that make me want to do? That made me want to be like, how can I be as loyal as humanly possible and fix my shit right the fuck now? Because there's no fucking way I'm chancing ever hurting this man.
Losing that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's when it becomes a pattern, that's when it's an issue. Everybody messes
Yes.
up. Look, I'll be the first to
100%.
admit, everybody messes up.
Yeah.
Everybody flaws. Everybody has issues. I've had my own fair share of issues, like in past relationships. But in this last relationship, I wanted it so bad. She was gorgeous. And I was like, you're so close to being everything I want, but you just can't give me the peace that I need. And the peace I
Yeah.
need matters more than how beautiful you are, what you have to offer, or how good your body looks. Like at the end of the day, it's like, that's why I told you she might be better for someone else. But for me and what I require to be happy, it wasn't for me, you know? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
like you said, I think when it's an issue is when it becomes a pattern. Like I've been on both sides
Yes.
of it, so I see both sides of it. I know where I went wrong and when I corrected it,
Yeah.
and same thing. Like when she did the things she did, I look back at how I acted on some different occasions, and I'm like, I probably exaggerated that a little bit. I probably should have just walked away, right? But it's one of them things. It's hard to walk away when you feel betrayed, and I feel like that's in anything in life, but
Yeah.
that goes back to what we've talked about before. If you can control your emotions, you control all the cards, and
Mm-hmm.
it's knowing what you have to offer. It's knowing that, time is not it's never, you're never tied to a
Yes.
clock,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're like, oh, we're 30, we have kids, we have a family, we're tied. But, the longer you stay, the more unhappier you are. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying don't work
And the
things
harder it
out.
is to leave and the longer it takes
Yeah.
to heal.
And then the less opportunities you have come across your life because you're getting older, so
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't fix what you have, because if you both truly can fix something, then fix it. Absolutely, because there's nothing better than being a family, right? But at the end of the day, and same thing with faith. It goes back to my faith. We don't believe in divorce. We don't believe in broken families. But here I am. I got 2 kids, right? And it's like, I am where I am. But I also know if I stayed in those positions, I'd be a lot unhappier and my kids would be a lot more miserable. And so
Yeah.
you have to look at it from a different perspective sometimes and just
Yeah.
understand that, what you're doing might not feel right at the time, but in due time, it's going to pass. Like everything in
Yeah.
life, nothing happens over time. You don't get that dream body you want over time. You don't get rich overnight unless you win the lottery. But, it's one of them things, like everything happens as part of a process. And
Yeah.
God's timing also is a big factor in that. If you try to rush something, it's not gonna work, and you
Yeah.
have to let everything fall when the cards are ready to fall.
Yeah. Well, relationships, like you said, it's like a job. It's like it's full-time work. And the reality is like having, first of all, your values aligned and both living for something greater than yourself is the number one thing. Both knowing you're both broken and being willing to constantly work on yourselves. Because that's why I see like the most successful couples are, it's neither of them are like, well, I'm good, but they have issues. Both of them are like, I'm aware of my issues. We work through them. This is how we work through them. They go to couples counseling. They started, did premarital counseling at the church before even getting married. Like, we cannot expect ourselves to become a pro athlete but and never go to practice. Like, you don't just wake up one day and like become a fantastic wife. You train to become a fantastic wife. You start in
Yeah,
a healthy
trial and error.
relationship. Yeah. Yeah, and
Everything's through trial
communication,
and error.
constant communication. I know my pastor
And that's
talks.
another thing. You can't let your past follow you. I don't think we even talked about this. Like a bunch of different things. People growing up can make stupid decisions, right? And just because, like in my relationship, just because of how I got treated, don't mean she didn't learn her lesson or learn things through it. She might be a great wife for somebody next, because she might have learned, like, okay, I lost somebody good, or I lost something that was whole, and I don't want to lose that again, and she might find the love of her life, right? So that's good, because we have to understand not everybody's permanent in our life. Some people are here for a season, some people are here for a lesson, some people are here for eternity. It's just all you can do is make sure. And I'm going to take another step back here. This was another thing that I saw a video the other day. It said, I think my biggest problem in a lot of my last relationships, I was so focused on trying to fix you, trying to make you such a better person, that I neglected myself. And because I was trying to show you so much, how much I love you and how I can show up for you, I started making my own self-worth go down, right? And I saw a video of an old guy the other day. He said, instead of saying, I'm going to work on you for me, I'm going to work on me for you. And the way that means is, if I improve my quality, if I improve my self-worth, it automatically is going to translate over into you, right?
Yes,
Because
amen.
now I'm not worried about the nitty gritty things. I'm not worried about all the certain things. I am making myself a better option. So if you do go do that stuff to me, now you lost a gem. But now if you go do that stuff to me and I'm already pouring into you, I'm at my lowest I can be already because I'm pouring all of my energy, my time, my money, everything into you that you neglected yourself. So it's very important to have that self-happiness. And I've learned that a lot over the
Yeah.
last couple of years is I would be so focused on to devoting everything I have into her that I would let my own self-worth go down. So now when she would mess up, I'm like, well, dang, I didn't, I'm just another guy now at this point. So it's very important that you work on yourself for them because then they work on themselves for you. Then y'all can tackle the task that you need to.
But also that you work on yourself for you, right? Because
Correct. Yeah.
you can't go into a relationship half a person and expect the person to make you whole. But two whole
Yeah.
people coming together with their brokenness, with their stuff, they can deal with it together.
Correct. Yeah. As
As
long as
long
you're
as,
both willing to work on yourself. But at the same time, too, I'm not saying you neglect them and don't work on them and don't show up for them. You definitely have to focus on that. But they can't make you do a lot of different things that you require. You have to be willing to learn, to observe, and to understand that you have to do it as well. And
yeah,
that goes back to, a lot of guys where they mess up at is they close off. They close off their
yeah,
emotions. A woman will say, I need this, I need affection, I need this, I need that. And a guy's brain is saying, I got rent, I got to worry about the kids' sports. I got to worry about showing up to work on time. I'm having an argument at work. Like
yeah,
their brain is shutting off, and a lot of men are not able to categorize everything into options. Like, okay, I need to put attention here, here, and here.
yeah,
And so, a lot of times, I feel like intimacy in a long-term relationship does get kind of broken apart, especially if you're arguing and everything else. So you have to still be willing to pour into each other's cup, but most importantly, you got to pour into your own.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have nothing left to pour into someone else if you're not already good. And that's the thing, like you said, like men shut down usually because they're not giving themselves what they need, whether that's time with the boys or like a hobby that brings you joy or going to therapy because like you're just dealing with everything. Like you said, like I even noticed it with my uncle, when my grandfather died recently, my uncle like cried real quick and then he got to business planning the funeral. Like men just do what we got to do and because there is no time for emotions, but you have to give yourself time. Like
You
it's
have to
okay to
deal.
get what you need to
Absolutely.
get done, but make time for those emotions to process them at some point or they're gonna come back to bite you.
I would say too, and I probably speak for 99% of men here. What men want more than anything is appreciation. If
Yeah,
you tell a man, if he comes home and look at a man in the eyes and say, you know what, I feel like something's going on. You've been a great husband lately. You're a great father. I appreciate you doing this. That will make a man go out there and do twice as much the next day.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like that's the biggest problem is women in this generation will see something they don't like and they just attack the guy instead of trying to be like, hey, you
yeah,
do this really good. This right here has been slacking, but I want you to let you know what you've done and how much I appreciate it. And that
yeah,
will make a man go out and do twice as much. And instead of coming at a man and just attacking him all the time, men work off of praise.
yeah,
That's the way we work. Like, you don't have to give us treats. You don't have to give us a brand new car. You don't have to, do all these different things. I would tell you the two things that a man wants more than anything is sex and appreciation. Those are the two
hmm,
things that a man wants more than anything. And it's not even just sex. It's love making when you're in a relationship. It's a different
yeah,
type of intimacy, right? It's not just let me go get this one off real quick. It's men feel, I think, a lot through that to a degree, through emotions. And
hmm,
I feel like a lot of times in a relationship is that men don't get praised enough. And so when they don't get praised enough, they shut down and they get
yeah,
worse and they get worse. And if a
yeah,
man's appreciated, a man will go out there and give you the world as long as you tell him that you're proud of him. And that's why I
yeah,
told you same thing in the fighting industry. A supportive woman's everything. If you have a woman that's in your ear saying, you're the best out there, I love you so much, you're such a great fighter, you're going to go out there and win, you
hmm,
carry that mentality into that fight. But if you got a
yeah,
woman out there that's arguing with you saying, oh, you're a piece of crap husband, you're not able to juggle all this and all of that, you're going to
yeah,
carry that into the fight and you're probably going
yeah.
to lose the fight. So a support system is a huge deal when it comes to a man.
No, 100%. And I think so. We were watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding last night, and it's just like that old school old school women like our grandmas, they got it, but they were also taught how to do it, you know? Okay, so there was
Yeah.
this one scene where they wanted something done, the mom and the aunt. So they go to the husband, but they framed it so like it could be his idea. So then they kind of like planted it, and then he came up with the idea, and they're like, "Oh, honey, you're great. That's so genius." And he's like, "See, men." But I think that that's so true. Like, if you want something from a man, like another example is like
Praise.
when you want to go out to dinner somewhere and he chooses a restaurant you don't like, you don't say, "I don't like that one," because now he's never going to want to choose anything for you ever again. Like, there are ways to get what you want done and accomplished in like a feminine way, in a way that's
Correct.
encouraging him, and like, and then if you make him feel good about what he like, my grandma's, I feel like, was so good at this, you know, like her husband was a principal, and she just, I don't know, she just is so loving and encouraging, and like she never went without anything, but she just knew how to show up, provide for him, and make him feel like the man, right? And like, so then he protected and made her feel safe. And that dynamic, when it's done correctly, is flawless. It's like God invented it or something, you know?
Correct.
Like, like there's definitely like ways to do it. So it's just a beautiful dance. It's a
Well,
beautiful,
we all
beautiful
have
dance.
rules, you know,
Yeah.
and they say, you know, in the Bible it talks about, you know, you got to be able to lead, but if you're not leading properly, you can't lead.
Yeah.
And a woman's got to be able to let you lead,
Yeah.
but she's also got to be able to hold the tongue sometimes and
Yeah.
respect your husbands, but also husbands got to respect their wife. So
Yeah.
it goes back and forth. Like a man, and that's the old school type of love I believe in. Is a man is the head of the household. The woman, you know, is a very good nurturer and provide or lover, and the man's a provider. But at the same time, I feel like there's a misconception in a lot of different ways. Men that have that old school love feel like, oh, well, I'm gonna come home, my plate better be on the table, the kids
Yeah.
better be ready for bed, and that's not reality, right? Let's
Yeah.
be honest, especially with kids, it's not reality. You know, having a family can be chaotic sometimes, and
Yeah.
you know, and it's not a man that has that mentality shouldn't come home and be like, why isn't dinner done? Why aren't you feeding me? He should just help out, right? And I feel like the men that have that old school love, sometimes that's where they go wrong at.
The
They should just
other
help out more.
extreme. Yeah.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
then the women that come home just think, oh, well, I guess the man should do everything. Like, again, back to my last relationship, we dated for 2 years and she cooked 3 times. And I look at that and I'm like, man, like I really, and it's like I look at one of my other relationships where she would cook almost every single night. And I'm like, I look at that now and I'm like, she really would just come home, sit on the couch, scroll on TikTok and social media. And it was like, you look at that and you're like, there wasn't much, like we dated way longer than we should have just because we didn't want to leave each other. That's really all it was. You know, the intimacy wasn't there as much. The connection wasn't there as much. You know, we fell into a bad routine. And it was just like, I would find a way to get dinner. I would clean the house. I cooked, I cleaned, I did the laundry. And it was like something ain't right here, you know?
I hear that from a lot of men that go through that exact thing. It's crazy to me. And I think it's a lot of what our society has us at war with each other. Like, again, it just goes back to communication, because maybe the reason she's shutting, I don't know your situation, but with some of the other ones that I've heard about, you know, it's like, or times when I don't feel like being giving, it's usually because I'm hurting. It's usually because I'm feeling like scared, or my nervous system is not doing well, or I feel like, especially like I said with me in particular, if I feel like someone's like being controlling, if I feel like I'm going to get in trouble, then I start freaking out, and I'm trying to figure out like, how do I make it better? How do I fix it? Right? Because I'm a nurturer. I want things to be good. I want him to be happy. So, but when I feel safe, like I remember with my ex, I just would like start doing his laundry, and he was like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. But the more he told me, you don't have to do that. You're safe here. Space here. Like, I'm not controlling you. I just love you. I just want to take care of you and love you, and that's all. The more I just wanted to do things for him. Like, it just comes out of our nature when we safe and loved and taken care of and held.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing I was to say? Oh, the other thing is too, like, you're right. Like, as far as how what we're experiencing for men and women at home comes out in the real world. I was performing on a Disney show, and I was in front of like 300 people. I knew my lines cold. The moment I saw him, because it was a toxic relationship, I blanked out on stage. blanked out in front of everyone, because like what we're going, like you can't just leave that at home. It
Yeah,
comes
it
into,
follows you.
yeah. The last question is, a girl asked me the other day, and I'm curious to get a male's perspective. What does a man need to have in his life or have accomplished, or where does he need to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally to be ready for marriage? Because you know, there's plenty of guys out there that are like asking girls out, or they you know, are big talk, but when it really comes down to it, like they're really not ready, and so they'll just beat bop around from girl to girl.
I feel like if you're not spiritually grounded, I feel like you're going to have a lot of issues because we have to understand, like, we as men, we got to be able to go to and talk to somebody. You know, if you have faith, I'm a faithful man, so I truly believe like praying to God does help. You know, pray to God. You know, you have to do something. Like scripture, we go into scripture. It helps me a lot when I have tough times. I go to scripture. I listen to
Yeah.
certain music that I connect with in certain situations, right? And so
Yeah.
I truly believe if you're not spiritually grounded, it's going to be hard. And I've had that same issue. I've not been right with God in certain relationships. And it's like, I felt like I had nobody to turn to. And it was like, I have to understand that I'm not in control of everything. Sometimes you have to just pray about it and leave it up to the universe to do its own work. I would definitely say financially. If you're not financially stable, don't even worry about getting into a marriage because that's one of the hardest things that relationships will come across is financial obligations and issues. And you got to be able to have those conversations. You got to be able to understand that everything's not going to be perfect at all times. But I truly believe that if you aren't ready to financially have a family, then you probably shouldn't be trying to have a family because it's going to be super
Well,
hard.
yeah, no, I agree. So, but from a man's perspective, because what she was saying is, you see on social media and stuff, it says that men like won't a marriage, whether or not they're ready for it. They don't
They
want one,
won't.
and they don't want one. They don't want marriage. They do not want to commit until something happens and something clicks at some point. And what they're saying out there on social media is that like they just get to a point where they're financially stable or whatever, and they all of a sudden want that, and then they will just date whoever's in their proximity. I don't agree with that. I don't
I
think
don't
that
either.
that's true.
I don't think it comes down to the financial obligations. I think it comes down to when they're finally done turning around and playing the midnight games, playing the whole I don't want to chase no more.
Yeah.
I feel like when a man's truly ready to settle down, it's because he just wants someone to be there for him. He wants a support system, and we know that having a hookup's not really a support system. We know that having that them girls that want us is not it's not true value. You know, at the end of the day, you might have 10 people that want you, 20 people. Hell, I'm 100,000 people that want me, but at the end of the day, they don't really want me. And so they just want to be with me or to be seen with me. They want the status, they want the title. And that's why I really don't entertain anybody on my Instagram. That's a big thing because it's like
Yeah.
99% of the reason why you're probably in my inbox is for status. And so finding someone that truly wants you, truly values you, truly loves you. I feel like when a man's tired of the games, and I think when he gets his heart broken, that's when the man's really like, okay, like this was the one and I screwed up and now I'm ready
Yeah.
to settle down.
But that actually, okay, and then we're done. But that takes me to another point, and then I've also seen, and I don't know that I agree with this, but you kind of just proved it. It said something about a man will always like have that first love, and after that, he'll always be chasing the replacement of her.
Okay. All right. So
You
you want
must
me?
agree because you're red.
Yeah. So let me give you my and that's honest to a degree. You know, probably my best relationship. Where I say my best relationship, like the one that probably treated me the best was my high school sweetheart. I dated her 4 years from 16 to 19. You know, and so it's one of them things like, or 16 to 20, something like that. And so it's one of them things like, you know, I was young, I was naive, I was stupid. It was like, I didn't realize how, you know, and then again, that's young love. So we have to look at it from that perspective too, because young love's different than
Yeah.
what true love is, right? So
Yeah.
young love is like, it's the happiest thing in the world. You don't have stress. You don't have issues. You're not living on your own. It's a little bit different type of love. Like, I feel like love is just more than someone that shows up for you. It's how you can overcome struggles and stress situations and still be there for one another, right? So
Yeah.
I can't really even compare it to that one, but like that girl I love to death, and I realized, like, after I screwed up, because I screwed that relationship up, I realized, like, dang, like, I lost a good one, and I'm very happy for her today. And today she's made a great name for herself. She's a very successful woman, and I've wished her the best. We've been in talk a little bit over the years, but yeah, I truly believe that's one of them things that we chase. Like, we chase that type of relationship that we had into our next one, and we try to compare it. But and it's hard not to compare it, because that's what we do as humans.
Yeah.
We kind of like play that compare game. Like, is that going to be better than my last one? Does
Yeah.
she look better than my last girlfriend? And it's like, as men, that's what we look at. But, I hear this saying all the time too. A lot of people say, like, it's not all about looks, right? It's about the heart they have. Me personally, this is just me personally, right? It's hard for me to even get emotionally connected on that level. To see, look at you grinning. To see somebody, it's hard for me to get emotionally connected on that level to even see someone's heart if I'm not attracted to them. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be with someone I'm not attracted to, right? But
Look, I resonate with that. I do. That's why
yeah,
I'm
it doesn't
laughing.
mean
But
that the problem is with a woman that knows they're a 10, they know they're a 10. And it's very hard to find few women that are a 10 with the heart of someone that's like a 6. And let's be honest, because someone that's like a 6 will understand and appreciate a lot more than someone that's a 10, because they know they got all these other options. They know that if you don't do what they want, they got someone else right there on their phone waiting for them to. And I feel like that's also goes back to what we talked about social media, and everybody's so quick to let me get to the next replaceable item. And
yeah.
people aren't items. People have emotions. People have
Yeah.
feelings, and that's something that you really shouldn't mess with. That's why it's honest. You got to be honest up front with people what you want, because people get attached, and
Yeah.
yeah, I truly believe that sometimes men do chase the relationship that they once valued more than the other relationships, and I truly believe that to a degree. Obviously, like I said, I can't really speak on mine much, because mine was young love compared to as an adult now. I've had the different stress and the obstacles to overcome. But she was a really good woman, and I feel like that's one of the things that we do kind of have a tendency to chase.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think with me, I wondered for a long time if I would keep searching for that first love in everyone. Because I would just, like, date guys that kind of looked like him, or somehow get them to kind of dress like him, or this, and that. And then I heard something that was talking about, I don't remember exactly what it was, so this is not that helpful, but there's 3 types of love that we experience in our life. And one of them is that first love, and that's beautiful. But I got to a point where I was like, that's not someone I would have wanted to marry, though. Like, it was great when I was 18, but, like, I would not want to marry the man that he is today. God bless him. But, like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I'm not letting that man raise any children. And I would have had to guarantee I would get cheated on. I would have had just been okay with that. Like, so, I think that by the time we reach our third love, it's a different type of love. It's a true,
Good.
like, godly, like, deeper love. All those experiences just get us there, right? But I mean, and the thing is about appearances, that's just it's a reality, right? And it's really tough, because you have all these people out here, especially these days. You have 7s saying that they need to only date a 10, and people wondering why they can't get in a relationship. And it's really tough, because it's like, well, how do I? But the reality is, back in the day, if you think about, like, even high school, you ended up, I don't know if you did. I ended up dating people I wouldn't have dated, because I wasn't attracted to them at first, just because I was in proximity, and finally got to know them. But if you finally actually get to know someone, you might actually find them attractive. But the problem is, we don't give people that chance anymore. We don't think they're attractive. They don't even get a first date. So we're constantly missing out on good people. And the other issue, 2 other issues with that is, number one, looks are going to go away real fucking fast. And then you're stuck with this person that was hot. Well, eventually you're gonna get old, like, no matter what, right? And then you're stuck with someone with a shitty personality that's, like, still kind of okay looking, but guess what, they're still not 18. And then the other thing is, I was gonna say, success rate in marriages is higher when the people, I just learned this the other day, and I was like, this makes so much sense, but it makes me so angry, because that's not happening. When people let themselves go, their success rate is higher and there's less cheating because they have less options.
And I'm gonna jump to that too now that we're talking about it. So, you'll see a lot of times, and men will be like, you'll see a beautiful woman with a man that's like a five, and these men will be like, "What the hell am I doing wrong?" Right? What these women do, and I've noticed that a lot of beautiful women don't like having competition. They know if they date another 10, they got a lot of competition. And so
Yep.
what they'll do is they'll find a man that's a five that will let them kind of do whatever, because that man knows that at the end of the day, like this is my ex, perfect example. Okay, here we go. Perfect example, right? Now, she would go like talk to a guy that would be like a friend or whatever you want to call it, person she knew through some, anyways. He'd be like a five or a six, let's be honest. And that's why you always hear when people cheat, it's usually never an upgrade, right? And so she empowers herself off of being wanted, being able to do what she can do, whatever she can do, and a lot of men wanting her, right? But at a 10 level, you're not going to have a bunch of tens. It's like you got a competition. And so a lot of beautiful women will go for a man that's not as attractive because they know they ain't got much competition. They got to worry about him cheating because they know that he knows that he can't get nobody better. And
I've
that's one
literally
thing.
had girls tell me that verbatim.
Cannot stand that about women because it's like you are literally, and to me that's a narcissistic version of a woman because they want to go be with that man so they can do whatever the hell they want and not have to worry about certain things.
I don't know. I think part of me, just because I've never been that person and kind of wish I could be in some ways, because I'm like, at least they're appreciating other things than looks. With me, I'm like,
But
I've
that's
turned
the
down so
problem.
many
You know
good
what they're
guys
doing?
because of
They're
their
in my
looks, and that's
inbox. They're in
stupid.
my inbox as they're with the man that's a six or a five or six. And that's
Who?
my whole, I'm not going to say,
I see what you're
I'm,
saying. No, no,
you
no, no.
get what,
The type of woman I'm asking.
yes.
Okay, so you're saying,
But
okay.
that's why I'm like, I see what these women are doing. Because man, I
Because
could have ruined a lot of
the
relationships
girl that
on
I know
that.
would never slide into another guy's inbox. She finds one
The
and she
what?
knows that. Did I mute myself? No. Okay. The girl I know that I'm having this, that said
Yeah,
this to
yeah.
me, that she dates guys that are like that. She wants one man to be loyal to her and not have to worry about him cheating. And she knows
Mm-hmm.
if he's a six and she's an eight, then she's never gonna have to worry about that, and it's stress free and they can have a good happy relationship. But
Yeah, but you
if
can
she was
have
out
that.
there sliding into other DMs, then that's different, but that
Yeah,
wasn't the
but you can
dynamic.
have that in good looking men too. It's just some men
It's
just
harder though, just like it is with hot women. Hot people are very fucking difficult. I'm sorry,
to a
but like,
degree. To a degree, it all comes down to values. It all comes
it
down to
does,
morals
it
and
does, but
values.
at the end of the day, guess what, the hotter ones have more options.
They
And
do
so it's
absolutely.
just they're gonna have to be stronger and
But
have a different
what
level
gets
of.
me what gets me on Valentine's Day, boy, I could have ruined a lot of relationships. There is women that message me on Instagram that are clear as day in a relationship, married, but they're with a guy that's like, they're obviously the pretty one in the relationship, you know what I mean? Like these men are just average men, and it's like you're messaging me and commenting on my photos of the gym or talking about sexy cowboy and all this other
See,
stuff,
that's crazy to me though. That's public.
but
Your
you're
husbands
married.
can see that.
No, like they DM me that. A lot of different people DM me that. Yeah, and so it's it's like I leave it in the
Why
message
don't you?
request.
Why don't you tell?
Well, it's not
See,
my place. I don't like drama.
I'm always
I
conflicted
don't
with
like
this.
drama
I won't usually do that. But there have been
because I
times
know
where
there's
I've
married men in
considered it.
yours too. I already know that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I think like I'm trying to think of a time. I remember at one time I was really conflicted where I was like, do I tell the woman? Because the thing is that I would want someone to tell me, but at the same time, I've been in a position where I have told the not the other one. Like if a man tries to hit on me and he has a wife, if I tell his wife, she like comes at me and is like, "You're lying, you're crazy," and I'm like, "I was just trying to do the right thing." So I agree. It's kind of like you don't want to step into the drama. But
And
anyways,
I,
the
and I
point
will.
is,
And this was crazy. And I will. And this is why a lot of women don't get caught cheating. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because men don't want to be involved in the drama, right? So a man, say I'm dating a girl, right? And say something happens between this man and I catch wind of it. If I go ask that man, he's gonna tell me no. He's gonna be like, nah, I don't even know her, right? And that's just because he don't want to be involved with the mess and the drama and all that, right? He'll just go his separate ways. All right, we won't talk again. I got what I got, right? But as a woman, a lot of times women will be like, hey, did my man message you? And they be like, girl, let me tell you something. And then they get into a whole charade of things. And
Yeah.
it's like women are way
Yeah.
more open to the, let's have that, what do they call it?
We have each other's backs. That's why.
Yeah, but and that's why I can't stand men sometimes, because I had this same situation happen with my ex, and I'm like, bro, I saw the messages, and you're gonna straight lie to me,
That
and that's just
sucks.
because he didn't want to be
What
involved in the
about
drama,
bro
and I get it,
code?
as a man, like
That's
I get these
lame.
women that message me, and I'm just like, I look at their profile and I just kind of
There's a
chuckle, and I'm
difference
like,
though
man,
between not starting drama and denying it and lying. That's messed up.
yeah.
Like,
I just don't want to be
anyways.
involved, and I'm like, man, it's gonna. If they're doing it to me, they're probably doing it to someone else, and he'll figure it out. Like same way I had to.
Yeah.
I had to figure it out my own way.
Yeah. Well, in the end of the day, guys, the lesson here is just don't get involved with anyone before doing like a serious value alignment and trick questions. Make sure you actually go camping, do some difficult thing with them, and find out what their character truly is
Do a
before you
house
even
remodel, move in together. If you try,
don't.
if
That's a
y'all,
terrible
no,
idea.
no. If you can
Because then you're
survive the
stuck
moving,
together.
no.
Then you're
But
stuck
say, okay,
together.
say you go to move somewhere, right? That is the biggest argument you'll ever be with someone is moving or, yeah, moving. That's pretty much it.
I just think that you gotta go through some. I mean, I understand what
Struggles.
like that's a difficult thing to do, but I'm saying like go, I don't know, to a third world country on a mission trip. You
Spend a
need to
couple of
really
days.
try to see who they are, what their character is like in situations that are undeniable. How are they going to
I
be when they're down and dirty? When
So
all of
I
a
will
sudden the
say one
flight gets
thing too.
canceled?
Never be with a man that is too lazy to put the shop.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Because I've noticed that the men that are too lazy to put a shopping cart back and don't have respect for other people, don't really give a
That's a
crap
good
what
one.
happens to the cart, whether it hits somebody's
Yeah.
car. It's a respect thing, and I've noticed that like you always, if I have to walk halfway across the parking lot, 99% of the time I always put it back.
Yeah.
And the only time I haven't put it back is because there was nowhere to put a buggy because they were so
Yeah.
overflowing. So I was just
Yeah.
like, well, I'm just going to prop it up on the curb, you know? And so it's like, I've noticed that's a big thing. And I think morals, a lot of, and this is where I told you a little north and south thing is a little misconception. Like where I'm from is you say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. It's thank you, please. Like we have big manners. And I will get onto my little girl if she don't use it, right? And it's like very deep in my culture. But then you go up north and you hear, okay, like they just don't, like they don't have the same type of manners, and they also don't open doors or hold doors
Yeah.
or anything
Yeah.
like that. You hold someone's door. I held someone's door up in Michigan, and they looked at me like I was a serial killer. They was like, "What is this dude doing?" You know. And so I feel like we got to bring a lot more of that back because it's a respect factor. You hold the door open.
I
You get
agree.
flowers every so often. A man just wants to be told with words. Words of affirmation for a man is everything. You don't have to get us flowers. You don't have to get us anything. Just tell us how great we are and how amazing we are as a father, as a person, and we will give you the world. As a woman, I feel like they respect the little things a little bit differently. Like they want the flowers. And that's part of it. Like they
It
want
goes a
to know they're being
long
catered
way.
to. Exactly. So like getting flowers, every other week or once a month if you can, if you can afford it or whatever, is like it's a big deal to a woman, you
It's
know?
a big deal. Those little things that, especially just like extra things, because it's like a gift, and it's so funny because, like, guys, my dad literally did it this year where he gave my mom a vacuum. Like, I understand, and it was great, and she loves the vacuum now because it's one of those automatic ones. So it was like so that she wouldn't have to do more work. It was great, but
I need
like
to get one.
she wants, a necklace or some pretty thing, or and he does. He gives her flowers and this and that too. And like he sends her flowers for holidays and this and that, especially if he's not home. And it means so much to her. She like, you know what I mean? It'll light up our whole world, little things like that. And I think it's because it's thoughtful and we're so emotional that when we are like, oh my gosh, you went out away and you chose this purse that I like and you knew the brand. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so emotional for us, right? So I think that's why but it
I'm
also
gonna
depends.
I'm gonna step in right there. You said, and this is probably something for a good clip, is you said women are emotional. And what a lot of people don't understand is men are just as emotional as a woman. right? And the reason I say
Y'all
that,
just hide it more.
we hide it more. But the reason I say that is because you have no idea, like, getting a note left behind for a man is everything. Like, if you, and this is where there's a big misconception because people in this whole counseling world, people have been like, well, men are tough. Men don't like to talk about their feelings. Men don't do this. But a real man will. A real man is going to tell you how he feels. He's going to tell you what he needs. He's going to tell you what he wants. I feel like there's a big misconception there because you can leave me a note and me knowing that you took your time to write on a piece of paper, like, hey, I love you. I hope you have a good day. Thank you, whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I would literally save that. I have a drawer full of them for no reason. I need to throw them away. But you get what I'm saying. Like we literally will save those type of things because those mean a lot to us, right?
That's that affirmation you were talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like, and this is for the relationships out there. If you're struggling and you can't get your man to open up, try being more emotional towards him. Not as in attacking with words, but as in like try giving him a more supportive emotional thing. Try writing him a letter and watch how different he will open up. Because right now it might be because of the way the arguments have been or the way the conversations have been. So he's closed off. Men will close off very quick and very fast. If they tell you one thing and then use it against them, they're never gonna tell you again. And that's just the way we are, right? But men are just as emotional as women, so you have to be able to be emotional towards your man in the correct way and not just with an attitude.
Yeah, yeah, and that's back to like holding that safe space. No, I
Yeah.
agree 100%. It's like you can literally your man will move mountains for you if you just know the right words to say to empower him, to make him feel loved, appreciated, cared for, affirm what he's doing, and he's gonna do whatever.
Literally,
Yeah.
what I told my ex, I said, she's like, what she used to tell me all the time is my expectations were, or how does she say it? My expectations were unrealistic. And I was like, how are my expectations unrealistic? I don't ask you to do anything, but be loyal and my type of loyal that we just talked about and just love me. I don't ask for you to cook. I don't ask for you to clean. I don't ask for you to pay for anything. I don't ask for you to do anything. Like I still picked up the kids from daycare. I still watched the kids. Like I went out of my way for her son, and I considered him my own, and so it's one of them things like, it's just men really don't require much. If you give it to us in the correct way, we really don't require much.
Yeah.
You'll realize the more you can tap into the emotional side of your man, the more you'll get out of it in return. If you come at him aggressively, we're just going to close off and go somewhere else and do something else. Go to work more. We're going to go hunting more. We're going to go fishing more. We're going to do something where we can just find peace at.
That's the truth. That's the sound bite right there. Well, thank you for coming on the pod. I think we covered like mostly everything we wanted to cover. So good. Appreciate you guys. Thank you if you're watching. I will put Cameron's Instagram tagged in the bio or in the description, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.